Keith Smith, Yahoo Sports NBA, going to join us as the NBA is back. And, of course, they've got scrimmages going on. You're getting a chance to see what it will look like inside the bubble for live games. But one of the things, and I want to get Keith's take on this because he's been watching and tweeting all day at Keith Smith NBA. We've talked a lot, Broads. I've brought up this whole that a lot of these players in March were different players than the guys they're coming back as. They're almost new versions of themselves within the same season. You know, bigger, stronger, faster. They've worked on some things. And I'm wondering, from these few scrimmages that we've seen, does Keith Smith see any examples of that very thing? In other words, was there a player that in the season up to March maybe was a okay player or average, and now that they've come back that he looks like a new player? He's bigger, he's better, he's got more skill. He might be a factor that he wasn't going to be in the regular season. So let's bring Keith Smith in and get his take, as we've seen just a couple of scrimmages here. But Keith, I've often said, hey, a lot of these players are going to come back almost like the 2020-2021 season versions of themselves inside the 2019-2020 season. Are there guys and players that are going to help teams because of this break that maybe would not have helped them as much when the season, if the season would have played out like normal?
Yeah, you're definitely going to see that. It's one of the things that some of the coaches have been talking about bouncing around the league on these Zoom calls and the like, is a lot of the young guys, the rookies, the guys who are in their first year, they're not making those jumps that you see when they come back for training camp before their second or third year. They've had a chance to, for the most part, it's the rookies. They've had a chance to really work on their bodies and really work on the game. Because if you think about it, right, they finish their college or overseas season, go straight into draft prep, then they're drafted, they go straight into summer league, they take a little bit of time off, and then right into NBA training camp, and then right into the season. They don't have any chance to work on themselves physically or work on their games outside of what the team construct is. So those guys are going to come back looking pretty different. So far from these scrimmage games, we're seeing a little bit of that. I think Rui Hachimura has looked a little bit better than he had. He's tightened up his handle some for the Wizards, so he's looking pretty good. Bol Bol's obviously been a lot of fun for the Nuggets today. He's doing a lot of things, a guy who didn't play in any NBA games in his rookie season. So that's been kind of fun with this weird Nuggets lineup that's all, jumbo size. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. And then the other guys who are going to look good are the guys who had a chance to get healthy. Somebody who stood out in that respect was Aaron Gordon of the Orlando Magic. He was playing through some ankle and leg injuries because Jonathan Isaac was out, and the Magic really needed him to play. And it's clear this time off let him get healthy and get ready to go. So I think Gordon might be a factor for Orlando that he might not have been otherwise.
I loved following your tweets all today. You are obviously excited, and it's just tremendous. I can hear your passion through your tweets to see basketball. So what are your initial thoughts so far about watching it on TV?
Yeah, the basketball product's a little messy. But we expected that, especially this Washington-Denver game. It's just a glorious mess. But the Orlando Clippers game, after the first few minutes, was played at a pretty high level. I thought it looked pretty good. The last bit that the starters and main rotation guys were out there, they looked pretty good. So I think guys are going to get their rhythm in their legs. The presentation I've enjoyed. I thought the Orlando broadcasters did a really nice job of just kind of doing their regular thing. They mentioned what was going on, around the court and with the sound and all that, but they really just kind of broadcast the game, and I thought that was pretty good. Courts look good. The baseline's a little empty with nobody down on the baselines and no color, so I'd like to see him add a little something there just for a little bit of change in viewing perspective. But for the most part, I think it's really coming off really, really well for TV.
Sixers, by the way, their first scrimmage is on Friday at 3:30. You'll hear the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. They take on Memphis, and that will be one of their few exhibitions or scrimmages, I guess they're calling them, before they get ready. They'll have 3 of them on Friday, Sunday, and Tuesday, and then they'll open up the season for real against the Indiana Pacers on Saturday, August 1st. Now, Keith, it seems that a lot of people are looking at this Sixers team as maybe one of the most intriguing of the restart teams. Would you concur that this team is maybe one of the more fascinating teams in this restart?
Yeah, absolutely, because I think we just don't know what to expect. They're making changes from the last time we saw them in a big way. Ben Simmons is going to play the 4 now. That's new. Shake Milton, he had been playing quite a bit, especially since Simmons had been out. But the fact that they are really kind of changing things up from the team that they had been for the vast majority of this season is going to be really interesting to see. That Simmons and Embiid pairing up front in a lot of ways feels like that's where Simmons was always destined to be. But did that really solve the issues? Do you still have enough shooting around those guys and those kind of things? Is it going to be enough? Al Horford coming off the bench. I know there's a lot of people start screaming about the contract and all that, but at least for the remainder of this season, that gives them big man depth that they didn't have before. So I think they're definitely one of the most intriguing, and I think they might be better set up for long-term success with this grouping.
Gil and I have a bet. It's over under 4.5 3-pointers for Ben Simmons in those 8 games. Would you go over or under?
Under. I don't even think he's going to get to 4.5 attempts.
Thank you very much. Yeah, this was attempts, by the way. This was attempts.
Yeah, attempts.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll still go under.
Thank you very much.
Attempts are made. I just don't. That's just not who he is. I think we need to kind of put that out of our mind. I know everybody goes nuts when they see the practice videos and they see guys taking a bunch of jump shots and 3-pointers and those kind of things. But when you watch any NBA player step out and shoot, there's guys who have literally 0 NBA 3-point attempts that can knock them down regularly from behind the arc when it's practice. It's what matters in the game, and I think Simmons that's just not who he is. I would be very surprised if that's who he becomes. Now, my question though, are you guys filtering out like end of quarter heaves and those kind of things?
Yeah, no, they're out. No, they're out. These are regular, because Brett Brown himself. Okay. So the team puts out a video of him shooting a 3. This is the Sixers official Twitter account. This isn't like some guy who happened to be sitting in the bleachers at a workout. This is the Sixers official Twitter account. I mean, they're putting videos of this guy shooting 3s, shooting jumpers, and then Brett Brown comes out and says he shot more 3s in the Orlando bubble practices than he has all year combined. I mean, they're putting some pressure on this kid, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, to some extent, but I somewhat wonder if Brett Brown almost has fun with that at this point, because didn't he say before the year he wanted him taking X amount per game and those kind of things, and then that never happened, and he said I'll take him out of the game if he's not taking them, and that didn't go that way either. So I think it's probably just Brett Brown having a little bit of fun himself with this, because I just don't expect to see anything like that from Ben Simmons. It's just not who he is as a basketball player.
All right, let's get your take then on Brett Brown. Then he's essentially said that Al Horford and Joel Embiid, they have not played together at all in any of these practices, really. And then Horford kind of downplayed the concerns about his role. He says, I haven't even spoken to Brett Brown about whether he would be playing together with Joel Embiid. And Embiid, hilariously showed up today to practice wearing Al Horford's jersey. So obviously they're trying to have some sort of connection there. But do we anticipate a diminished role for Al Horford?
Yeah, I think so. I think, instead of him being a 30-minute a game player, he's probably going to be more like a 20-minute a game player. The only 2 spots he can play is the 4 and the 5. And if they're really committed to Ben Simmons being a power forward and not, starting there and playing 5 minutes at that and then moving back into the point guard role, then he's going to have to play, 25, 30 minutes a night as a power forward. And Embiid's going to have to go 30 minutes a night there. So that really doesn't leave a whole heck of a lot of time unless you're really saying, all right, we're completely tossing Mike Scott out of the rotation in any smaller lineups with Tobias Harris at the 4, and we're just going to always stay big and put Al Horford in the game at all times, kind of the backup minutes there. I think he's going to be more of a 20 to 25 minute a night guy, and that is a pretty reduced role from what he was as a starter. And now that might be better for him. Maybe he can give you more. It might be a less is more situation because he may have better energy, he may be able to do more things. And if he's not spending time with Embiid out there, maybe for both of them that works a little bit better, but it's certainly going to be a reduced role.
After watching some of these scrimmages today, I mean, I don't know that we're going to get much here, but what is your feel? I know you bounce around to a lot of the Zoom calls and get to hear a lot of different coaches and players from the different teams about how the teams are handling the 8-game regular season.
Everybody's going to treat them a little bit differently. For some of the teams, they're really important because they're really fighting to get into the playoffs. The teams like Portland, New Orleans, Sacramento, those teams can't afford to lose any of those games. They've got to try to beat each other, and they've got to try to stay in front of each other while also getting to within 4 games of Memphis to force that play in. The teams that are more solid in the playoffs, especially the teams who are very solid in their seeds, like Milwaukee and Lakers, they're just going to kind of play this out like you would play out those last couple of weeks of the regular season, where they're just kind of just getting in their reps, knocking the rust off, making sure guys stay ready to go, but aren't really too worried about anything beyond health. And then the teams that are in the middle of the pack fighting for seeding, it's all about matchups because there's no home court advantage. So it's all about trying to get on one side of the bracket or another. So everybody's coming at it from a slightly different place.
How does this bubble environment change the camaraderie of the teams? Like, I understand that Joel Embiid went up to Brett Brown and talked about how the togetherness with this team is really happening because of the environment. I think it's important, but the only thing I always wonder when something like that is said, isn't that happening to everybody around the league as well? Like, I can't imagine other teams going, man, the Sixers are really coming together, but we're not.
Yeah, no, it really is everybody. And one of the things that's been interesting is listening to people talk about a guy like LeBron James, who from the time he was a sophomore in high school has been mobbed everywhere he's gone in his personal life. There's a crowd of people, in his face at all times, and they're saying he's loving the bubble because he can go outside, walk around, and just be one of the guys. And he's hanging out with a lot of his teammates and doing a lot of those things. So once you're getting those guys at that level, that tells me everybody's doing it. But what's interesting is I was talking to a coach just yesterday, and he said, everybody loves everybody right now. Let's see when we lose a couple games and guys are a little sick of each other. Then I've had enough of this guy, get me away from him.
That's interesting.
That's what you got to start to worry about.
Yeah, you don't get to just go home and be away from everybody. You're going back to the hotel, and they're all in your face.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's one of the things the NBA is concerned about, especially as we get into the later rounds and all of the teams will be housed at Coronado Springs at the Grand Casino Tower, is if teams, we know playoff series, because you're playing the same team, 4, 5, 6, 7 times in a 2-week period, it can get really heated and guys can really get under each other's skin. Well, normally you go back to your hotel or you jump on the plane and fly somewhere to a new city to play the next game and those kind of things. These guys are all going back to the same hotel. Is there going to be something that flares up a little bit there? When it's these 8 seeding games, nobody's going to care all that much. Everybody's, I think, going to feel, pretty much the same and feel, all right, this isn't, too big of a deal, and guys will put it behind them. Because often we'll see guys go at it, and then they'll grab dinner after the game together if the one team's staying in the city. But in the playoffs, it doesn't really go that way. So that's going to be another thing to monitor as well.
He's Keith Smith. We're looking forward to talking hoops. Real games are coming up. Friday, we'll have the Sixers, and, of course, they'll start on Saturday, August 1st, and you can hear all the games right here on 97.3 ESPN. Keith Smith, appreciate the time. Oh, by the way, who was the star of the day so far?
Bol from the Nuggets. Clearly, he was blocking shots. He was hitting off the dribble, pull-up three-pointers, 7'2". I don't know if you saw, but Denver started the smallest guy in their starting 5 was Paul Millsap. Today, they started 3 centers and 2 power forwards because half the team still isn't cleared to play after getting to Orlando late. So he was clearly the star of the day. Did a lot of fun things, and I think people really enjoyed it.
All right, good stuff. Looking forward to talking hoops with you. Real games, Keith Smith, Yahoo Sports, at Keith Smith NBA. Thanks, pal.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Y'all stay safe.